All right, we are live, man. Official GYGB War Report show. The official recap of Errol Spence Jr. and Mikey Garcia that took place this past weekend live in Jerry's World. We're going to cover that. Obviously, going to be joined by Errol Diggity in a minute. That's going to be obviously the topic at hand. You all know the result of the fight. I'll wait until Errol D gets on the line. As it relates to us just really breaking down what we saw and what we kind of envisioned anyway happening, with some added things that we'll touch on. But we're recording this live Monday night, and we're hearing we're about to hear this announcement tomorrow. Again, if you're catching this live Monday night, we'll be posted Tuesday. But as we're recording this right now, we do not know Deontay Wilder's destination, though a lot of us kind of know. It's kind of a no-brainer at this point. He was at the fight this weekend. They interviewed him, and he was kind of tongue-in-cheek about where he was going. But I don't want to make. I don't know. Nobody I've talked to really knows, which is it's kind of been a kept secret. The only thing that's kind of out of the bag is that he's very likely not signing with DAZN, and I made the point to ROD, or will in train too, and during the fight. At this point, it's a foregone conclusion. Why would he sign to DAZN if you were just on Fox, and you're the flagship fighter of the PBC? So if I'm to make a prediction right now, and I guess let me play Nostradamus for a second. We're Monday night recording this. We'll find out tomorrow. Who knows what's going to happen? But my guess is that he's probably going to be Fox's first flagship signee, contracted fighter, which, if that does become the case, you have the three. Well, I guess if you still want to consider, however you guys look at lineal status, okay? I personally think he's going to sign a Fox deal, Deontay Wilder, but you're going to have him on Fox, Tyson Fury on ESPN, and Anthony Joshua on DAZN. So that is a three-way divide, but I feel as if that does become the situation, I'm really leaning towards that happening. It's going to inevitably be a collaborative effort. And I think maybe that's why Fox is getting into the play, because they want to be invested in that. You know what I'm saying? I think whenever, well, I don't want to mention the other fight that could have a collaborative effort. The man Time was saying, from what I hear, AJ didn't sign with DAZN long term. He didn't, but he's with Matchroom and with Eddie Hearn. That's a foregone conclusion. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think inevitably, again, this is on the premise that Wilder's signing with Fox, which I kind of think, obviously, my man Time was saying is, I think he is at this point. It's going to have to be one of these Tyson, Lennox, Lewis deals, Mayweather, Pacquiao deals. Will it make as much money as Mayweather, Pacquiao? Absolutely not. But when we talk about the $1 million, million and a half pay-per-view range, it could get to that point. And I think maybe that's why Fox is trying to get into play. And the biggest thing was Wilder needed a date, and Showtime couldn't provide it without a pay-per-view, which is really starting to speak volumes of where Showtime is at right now in the whole boxing world. And because, you think about it, man, we talk about ESPN, Fox, and DAZN. Showtime's kind of like teeter-tottering out of the way. They kind of alluded to him going to Fox. Like, yeah. That's the thing. It's like they haven't made the announcement, but we all kind of see the writing on the wall, And again, Fox is a huge network. They're linear TV still, and this is what we've been saying about Deontay Wilder, man. I'll get ROD's his 2 cents about it when he comes on the line, but the United States has lacked a heavyweight let alone one of the world champions that they can really push to the American audience, you know. And when you think about network TV, you know, Fox is one of the leading networks in sports, you know. So when they made this deal with the PBC and everything, I was like, wow, okay, well, this isn't Al buying the deal or buying the time, like they're investing. And I think at this point, man, Fox is now trying to really, and man, I wish I could go back to these shows, man, and tell y'all and rewind to further prove that Showtime, man, is slowly getting eked out of the boxing business, man. It's not gonna happen overnight, but you know, it's pretty apparent Fox is becoming a big player in the boxing world, where you have now three, you know, power hitters in the sense with again ESPN, DAZN, and really Fox. Showtime, they can only put on pay-per-views, and right now, when you look at the grand scheme, what is a pay-per-view that Showtime can put on that will generate a lot of money that Fox won't get in there and say, hey, like, we want that fight. I knew this was going to be an issue, and money talks, and this is why you're slowly starting to see these PBC fighters go on to Fox. And now, I mean, we got to see the pay-per-view numbers from this weekend. You know, we'll touch on that later, but I think Wilder Joshua does happen. Not this year, but I feel as if neither has a lot of wiggle room. Okay, like this isn't Mayweather Pacquiao. You know, these guys are going to fight sooner than later. Not this year. I think 2020 is going to be their big date, and they got to figure out how DAZN's going to have to still put on a pay-per-view. And there is my man R.O. Diggity.
Yo, you probably can't see me because I'm driving. So.
Now, wow.
and that's my. It is we.
Go ahead.
You know, it's over here. We're up here. Is up north. It's about 44 degrees, and my. Let me see if you can see it.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
Can you see the? Can you see? Hang on. Can you see the car?
Yeah. Oh, the odometer, the temp.
Yeah, man, it's 43 degrees, man. It's icy. It's icy out here too. It says it's about to ice up and all that stuff.
Yo, we on location, man. ROD on location.
Yeah, it's Taxi Cab Chronicles.
Yo, Taxi Cab Confession. Shout out to yo, man.
But no, I'm gonna take my camera off because I don't want to get pulled over. So I'll be looking down the phone.
Man, no doubt. So yeah, man. So you know, we're obviously gonna get to the topic at hand in a minute as it relates to the fight this weekend. But you know, as we're recording this live, you know, we're gonna find out tomorrow Deontay Wilder's destination as it relates to his what seems to be a long-term deal. They kind of hinted at it on, you know, last night, you know, well, over the weekend, but, you know, it's very likely at this point he's going to be like Fox's flagship fighter from just kind of everything that's being thrown at us. So, I mean, I guess give me your opinion on you know, we have like a three-way dance now as it relates to, we got three heavyweights that potentially could be on three different networks. So, let me ask you this. What, out of all those three fights, what do you think is the most realistic of happening in the case where there has to be a collaborative effort? Like, be it the Fury's on ESPN, Joshua's on DAZN, and then let's just say Wilder, for argument's sake, you know, without us finding out the news tomorrow, he signs with Fox. Don't you think like the approach? Well, go ahead. Like, what?
No. Go ahead. Don't I think what?
I'm just thinking like at that point, if there's going to be a collaborative effort, wouldn't it make sense for them to just do the Wilder Joshua fight in the realm of what they did with the Tyson Lennox Lewis fight? Because it's like at that point, that's what it would have to be, right?
Well, yeah, that's what I was thinking, man. Like maybe we can start clashing networks, man, because it's getting to the point, man, where it's like freaking the Omegas versus the Kappas, man. It's like a fraternity. It's like school days. And it's really starting to become one life to live as it relates to boxing, you know, where it seems like a lot of these fights, you know, where you had I forget, Bob Arum had mentioned something in the past, like when he was with Don King, against Don King, he never had trouble making fights. You know, you go through the past, you had Oscar and Trinidad. They never had trouble making that fight. You know, I forget who else he had, but they never had trouble making fights together. And now you have networks, you know, they didn't have trouble making that Floyd and Pacquiao fight. Obviously, they had to brew a little bit, and they didn't have any trouble making Tyson and Lewis. And I'm thinking, man, it should be the same way with Deontay Wilder. Like, regardless of where he signs, these fights still need to happen because at this point in time, he's going to be fighting, you know, against JV competition, you know, quote unquote, being at a varsity level, and all the varsity kids that's in the other school are going to be playing against JV competition as well. I think that all the varsity players, regardless of what side of the street they're on, those fights need to happen, man. And just like they're getting creative with, you know, the zone and like little links to watch the fights, they need to get really creative on how to make these fights happen. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think at a point there's going to have to be a collaborative effort for these fights to be made, because when the demand is there, and obviously Wilder Joshua is a fight that is starting to really bubble, you know, and the heavyweight division again isn't riddled with talent per se. Again, it's like 1A, 1B, and everybody else, you know, for the most part. But I think at this point, depending on the news we find out tomorrow, which I kind of already have an idea of what we're going to find out, it is going to have to be a big event. And the point I was making before you got on the line, man, is I think Fox is really starting to make a big play in relation to the boxing world, man, because I mean, we're already coming up this pay-per-view that they did, and I'm hearing 50,000 people, but I think they want to invest into the potential of what could be this era's big heavyweight unification matchup, you know, whatever it ends up becoming. But we're still, the thing is we're still a whiles away. And I'll say that fight, Wilder Joshua, will not happen in 2019. 2020.
I mean, is Wilder and Fury going to, here you go. Is Wilder and Fury going to happen?
I don't know. I feel like with Fury, maybe they'll it's a situation now, like, all right, is Bob going to be now working with Al Heyman to make that fight? Or will Al Heyman work with DAZN to make what is the more lucrative and the bigger fight? You know, and look, they've already met with DAZN. You know, like, in reality, you know, Al Heyman, Shelley Finkel, Skip Johnson, like all the parties involved met. So at the very, very least, there's a dialogue there. I don't think there's any animosity if he turns down the deal, but on like I guess the positive side of it is that there is that potential of business happening between those two parties. With Tyson Fury and with Bob Arum, it's you and I know, like, that's going to be a difficult a difficult fight to negotiate, and you know how Bob is. But if you're Wilder and you're given the option, which fight would you take right now? You know, like, if given the option of Joshua or Fury, like, I'm feeling like they'll take the Joshua fight. It's just the bigger fight. It won't happen next, but I don't think he's gonna fight Fury in a rematch and then go fight Joshua. Like, I think at this point, like, that fight's probably not going to happen.
You know what's interesting though? It's funny. The other thing too is that I think the public wants to see Joshua just like the public wants to see Crawford and Spence, but I don't think you can go wrong with fighting Fury again. Like, as long as you don't fight Dominic Brazil, like, as long as you don't fight Dominic Brazil, like, that's where you can go wrong.
That's happening though. Like, that's the thing. Like, I think the announcement tomorrow is they're gonna announce maybe like he signs with Fox, and the fight with Brazil is gonna be on Fox for free instead of what Showtime could only offer was for it to be on pay-per-view. So we're getting that fight. I mean, I think that's a foregone conclusion.
Okay.
So after that is the question, you know, do they go approach Bob for a Fury fight? Do they try to do that? Or does like Tyson Fury, or you know, does he have plans already? You know, apparently like they announced I forgot who he's fighting. Like I don't even know who the guy is. And it might be on the ESPN Plus app. So, you know, there you go.
Yeah, see what I'm saying? Like, if they can find creative ways to do this stuff, man, like show fights, I really believe that these are some smart people. We can find creative ways to make these fights happen. You know, what's
Yeah.
the use of watching the Zone on this app $9.99 every month, but you're not seeing the fights that you want? All right, I'll give you an example. You know how everybody's enamored by Netflix?
Right.
Half the time, there's be stuff on there you don't even want to watch.
Oh, there's like 80% of it.
Right. So that's what the Zone is actually becoming. If you think about it, like if we don't get the fights that we want, it's going to become literally the boxing version of Netflix.
Well, yeah, man. I mean, look, it's kind of like, I mean, I've said this so many times, man, but this is like for the pro wrestling heads out there, man. This is like back in the 80s and the 90s when it wasn't just Vince McMahon and the WWE. Like you had different territories and factions that if you wanted to watch a particular wrestler that was in a certain territory, like you watch that. And then at 5 o'clock, it was another territory. And then like on Sunday, it would be here. That's how boxing in kind of like, if you really step back, that's kind of how it is, you know? And anytime they get together, it's a super fight, right? Like it's like they actually used to have this thing called the Super Clash where two federations came together and they put their town together, but then, you know, it got all convoluted and everything. But so that's kind of how it is now, man. Like you got everybody like in where they fit in, but certain fighters don't benefit from being in certain, you know, factions where others do, you know, depending on the weight class. So I just think Wilder, as far as Wilder and Josh was concerned, that will be big enough for where they can get together. And the thing with the Zone, I don't know how they're going to work it out as it relates to the subscribers. I'm a subscriber. I pay $9.99 a month. And do they do it where if you're a subscriber, like you get to watch the fight, and if you want to order it on pay-per-view, you got to pay this? Like, I don't know how they're going to do it. See, it's tricky, man. I mean, we don't know yet. You know, I mean, this is something that it's probably going to take a little while to figure out. And it's funny, the Zone, I forgot who mentioned it. They made a mention about pay-per-view. And you notice, remember that ad that they had with Michael Buffer where here, you know, oh, the pay-per-view screwed. You notice how they took that back? The reason they took that back because I think they know there's going to be a point where there is going to be a point of pay-per-view. And look, between the whole crew, man, we don't not pay-per-view in the sense of it being a worthy fight. Like, look, whether it's Wilder Joshua, that is a pay-per-view worthy fight. If they put $70 down for that, like, you can't argue that. It's worth the price of admission. A Wilder and Brazil, nah, man. You know what I mean? So you gotta just be, you gotta choose wisely, you know. And I think the Zone, not that they'll be forced, but I mean, I think they are going to have to kind of work and cross that bridge and offer some type of pay-per-view option for people who don't have the. I mean, I don't know, man. It's like I don't work for the Zone, so I mean, I don't know how they're gonna do it, but eventually they're gonna have to come down that bridge, you know, to make that fight happen. So that's pretty much it, man. Like my man here saying they're reporting 47,000 people at the fight this weekend. That's kind of crazy, man. I mean, to segue into the fight, you know, I'll let you start, man. So, I mean, we'll talk about the main event. I mean, I won't on, you know, the one particular undercard there, one fighter that, you know, we know about, but it's gonna be you know what, man? Let's start with David Benavidez, man, because I mean that was one guy we were talking about this weekend. As it relates
I mean, you know, it's funny, man, because you know we heard, you know, grumblings of him, you know, possibly fighting Caleb Plant. Saw the whole thing with in the gym, they arguing and all that other stuff, man.
Before, that's right, yeah.
Right, and like, you know, everybody's like, oh crap, this is a fight that needs to happen. And then, you know, he has a setback. And, you know, we also saw like glimpse where Benavidez, the younger brother, albeit, he threw, and he has an interesting story, guys. If you want to, like, look it up, man. The kid, used boxing as a way to lose weight, and he was very overweight and obese, and he really got into shape as he was younger. I'm sure you know that story, Roberto.
Yeah.
But what happened is, what everybody knows him for, he became kind of like a social media legend because he had like one of the best combination knockouts like last year. Remember that was like an 8-punch combination knockout,
Yeah.
and his hands were like super duper like Dragon Ball Z Street Fighter fast, And everybody's like, oh my goodness. So like they made memes out of it and everything. And then, obviously he loses his belt because he has a setback, for substance abuse. And people kind of forget about him. And now he fights, I like him, but he's starting to become a gatekeeper. And Jay Leon Love, here was a guy, man, like,
I think he should honestly retire, man.
Yeah, he was just, he's starting to slur a little bit. And, the pre-fight looked good. It sounded good. But the crazy part about all this was, as we were looking at it, we just saw that the talent was so different. We saw the talent was so different. Number one, what you realize is freaking Benavidez is physically imposing at that level.
He's a big super middleweight, man.
He really is, man. Number two, what you realize is that he ain't like he got a skill set with him.
Yep.
I'm gonna be honest with you. He got a nice little jab. He got some angles, and he got some super duper fast hands. Like seriously.
Yeah.
Like that. Like let's just fast forward to the second round. That combination he put Jay Leon Love without on his feet was fast.
Yeah.
That was a super fast combination, man. And the punch he hurt him with was a sneaky, accurate punch. It wasn't no wild punch. Man, he could fight, man. And
he's good, man.
He is good, and he's going to be, man, I'm going to tell you right now.
Well, because he's fighting next.
Who's he fighting next?
Darrell.
Okay, well, let's fast forward that. So, I'm going to be honest with you. I would pay to see him and Caleb Plant fight today.
That's the inevitable fight, man. I want to see that, man.
Like if you told me ride or die, you gotta save, a couple dollars from your paycheck to watch that fight, I would definitely watch it. Like I would go there if that was a main event to watch that fight. So I was very impressed with what he did. I feel bad for Jay Leon Love, man, because I feel like he was just destined for something good, man, and now he's just like a gatekeeper, man. You can see the look on Floyd's face explained his whole career to me.
Yeah, man. That's actually kind of a good way to put it, man.
It was like if you saw how Floyd looked in the stands at that knockout, that's just how I feel. That's like my inside face and my inside voice for Jay Leon Love's career. Like I just thought he was just destined for just better.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, that's what I said, man. I honestly think, be it Floyd, I mean, look, and Floyd's somebody that has been very adamant about, making sure you take care of yourself and what have you. And look, Jay Leon Love in the last several fights, he's taking some punishment, man. Like, I mean, not every single fight, but at this age, man, so I'm wondering if Floyd has had a talk with him or anybody, man, because I personally feel, man, like he should consider retiring, man, because you can't, you're not going to beat the upper echelon, and like I think even the top 10, top like 8 is going to be a problem for him, man. So at this point, it's you come to an end, man. I think we might have seen it Saturday night.
Yeah, I mean it really is, man. I mean what's his recourse from of action after this, man? I mean,
I don't know, right? What do you do? Like, what do you do?
Yeah, and I really believe, man, I forget what fight he lost. Remember he got knocked out like, was it second or sixth round? I forget what fight it was.
Yeah, I got to look at it. I know who you're talking. I forgot who he fought, but yeah.
Yeah, it was, I don't know, man. But anyway, man, like, I was happy with that fight. You know, shout out to Jay Leon Love too, because he's about to be a a father, soon, and obviously,
Right.
that was one of the things that you never know why fighters do the things they do, man, and we're always in their lives. We look at their checks, we see how much they're paying, we're in their pockets as fans, but like, we look at Jay Leon Love, and I look at him and I really just feel bad, man, because he's kind of, I don't know if you noticed, he kind of slurring a little bit. Did you notice that?
Yeah, you know what's funny, man? I'm looking at his record. I forget he's only had like 2 losses, but it's like I don't think it. Like he had a couple draws and like some fights he kind of squeaked out. The fight you were talking about was Rogelio Medina. I remember that fight.
Medina, that's exactly what it was. Because I'll never forget, I was shocked. I was literally, my jaw was on the ground.
Yeah.
And then even he was beating Rosado, shout out to Philly, and he dropped him. And
Yeah.
and I'm just saying, let me say this. Gabe is like, there's some fights, man, that Gabe should have really won, that he got dropped.
What about Gabe the other night, man?
He looked great.
Well, I mean, he was getting outboxed, but that 11th round where he drops Selecki, he comes back to, drops him again. I mean, he survived. I mean, Selecki held on to the win, but man, it's just, he has like, I don't know, man. You can't question Gabe's heart, man. Like it's just, you thought the fight was over, and I'm like kind of checking out, and he just lands this little sneaky right hand. It's like, you never know, man.
You don't, and what's crazy about it is, the other thing you realize is that with Gabe came in with less of the hype when it came to Jay Leon Love, right? So Jay Leon Love was basically supposed to walk through Gabe, and Gabe gave him work. Like I said, Gabe to me, hang on for a second. Gabe is the Philly version of Glenn Johnson to me. Like, there's a lot.
Shout out to Glenn.
Yeah, there's a lot of losses he had that could have been wins.
Word.
So I'm not taking him lightly, but we should have known. The point is, we should have known at that point that Jay Leon Love was going to have problems when he fought those upper echelon fighters, man. And it's a shame, because here's a guy, man, literally, I'm telling you, he was literally supposed to be destined for stardom. I'm telling you.
I remember, man. And the thing is that you forget how long he's been fighting. Like it's kind of like we've seen him come up and everything, and it's like, to your point, like you thought he was gonna be one of these fighters, and then it's like he just ran into these fights where and I think the Gabe fight was the first one where we were like, damn, I don't know. And then he tested positive for something. I forgot what it was. Remember? Something came up in the fight where he tested positive for something, and he turned into a no contest. So then after that, like, he just, he went on like Lawan, Simone, and like he fought guys that were like kind of served up. And then the Medina fight was like, damn, man, and from that point, he never fought like top level dudes. And then he fought Peter Quillen, and he lost. And then he lost.
Yeah, that's right. And I'm gonna be honest too. Like, do we really think highly of Peter Quillen? Like, honestly.
I mean, yes, and he's another one that hasn't fought. Well, that's actually prior to I mean, he fought Jay Leon Love last year, but prior to that, he hadn't fought in a minute. Remember, because he lost to Danny. Remember, he lost to Danny.
He got dropped in like 30 seconds.
Yeah, right. So I don't know, man. Like, I think it's like I think with Jay Leon Love, man, I don't think he's gonna retire, but like I just don't know where he fits. Like, I don't know where he fits in the equation when you look at like who's there? Like, who's your man? Who's your man in England? Eubank.
Oh my goodness, man! Stop, man! Stop. Yo, did you see that? He should have been there. He should with.
Shout out to Eubank Senior, yeah.
Yeah, with that thing he did, that little like that little thing he was doing. Yeah, he should have been like on Kanye's like. You know that Kanye joke, like those church Sundays that Kanye be doing. He should have been on that with that. Yeah. And the one thing about his dad, he get those like those Steve Harvey like King of Comedy suits. They got like 12 buttons down the middle. You like, yo, come on, old head. Like, what you doing to me, man? He dancing. We are the world. He dancing.
Like that meme I sent you, that IG meme.
Yeah, like, he dancing to We Are the World, man. Come on, man.
Yo, man, we're bugging out here tonight. so yo, man, let's get to the main event, man. I mean, we're you know, boxing world's still kind of talking about it. Look, when this fight was announced, and obviously Errol Spence Jr., Mikey Garcia, we were surprised, man. We were just like shocked, surprised. Why? You're like, okay. And then they announced it for pay-per-view. We're like, oh, wow, all right. Then reality kind of set in, you know, and ultimately we get to the fight, and all of us in the crew, we all picked Errol Spence Jr., and I think all of us picked him by knockout, right?
Yep.
That didn't happen.
With the caveat that Mikey would have his moments, but keep going.
Right, exactly. All of us thought, I myself thought this was going to be a mirror of Kell Brook Triple G, where Mikey Garcia would have moments where you're like, wow, there's kinks in the armor, or there's a little exposition. That didn't happen Saturday night. and I'll give my piece real quick, and I'll throw it to ROD. But what we saw Saturday night, obviously, look, I mean, all of us in the crew, we all are of the belief of weight classes, okay? Is that to say that fighters have not gone up in weight and beaten guys at that weight? Absolutely not. And we can give examples. But like my man says, not every situation is exactly identical to the other. And there's a concession for every situation. And what a lot of us thought going into this is we knew, number one, Mikey Garcia was a hell of a boxer, okay? Very skilled, very experienced, very good in different facets. Like the different facets to his game, like you could say he's very good in every one, right? Errol Spence, very big welterweight, can likely campaign a junior middleweight, southpaw. Likely the hardest puncher in the division, and at this point has disposed of the majority of the guys that he's fought. And the irony was both guys were the toughest, well, let's just say on paper, the biggest fight for each fighter for different reasons. But while a lot of us thought that Mikey would have these moments and things as such, this was however you scored it, okay? I gave Mikey Garcia 1 round in this fight, and me saying that is me being very generous, but regardless of the fact, this was a complete domination, not only on the power, not only on just being the bigger, the bigger fighter, but this was a boxing clinic. Granted, against a lightweight who campaigned a bit at 140, but when you look at somebody that most of the time, if not all the time, has an answer, meaning Mikey Garcia, as it relates to his skill set, what he can do, what we've seen him do, that did not show up at all Saturday night, and a lot of it had to do with what Errol Spence Jr. was doing. Again, a jab, making Mikey Garcia apprehensive to come in. This went pretty much for the most part how we thought in the sense of Errol Spence just being the dominant fighter. None of us thought this would go 12 rounds. I'll get to like another point I want to make, and I'll pass it to ROD. But Mikey Garcia got dominated thoroughly by, again, the bigger welterweight, but nobody should be surprised at the outcome as it relates to the winner of the fight. But ROD, man, just give me your take as it relates to Saturday night.
Well, I think that Saturday night went exactly how we thought it was going to go, and that was basically what Train always says: how there's weight classes for a reason. Now we put up a post just so you guys know to be kind of fair and biased, and we don't put predictions in posts for the most part. I mean, Train may, but really, it's just a post to really alert people as to like, hey, the fight is coming and this is what's happening. And basically, we're going to be in a situation where we're going to have a great outcome. And what we saw was that Mikey, for the most part, it was a travesty. And I'm going to tell you why it was a travesty. It was a travesty because two things happened. Number one, it was a travesty because you have this love triangle that we talk about with Hughes, Porter, Danny, and Thurman. And Spence can't even get a fight with those varsity players we talked about. They play for the same team. He can't even get a fight with those guys. So Mikey has to move up 2 weight classes and accomplish something that was hard for Oscar De La Hoya. It was hard for even Michael Spinks. Michael Spinks did it. It was hard for him. I mean, you just rarely see it happen, man. You see it happen when people do it against not the sharks of the division.
Right.
But Mikey did it against the shark of the division and another pound-for-pound person. Right. So it wasn't like Roy Jones moved up and fought John Ruiz to go grab a belt. Right. It's almost the equivalent of Roy Jones moving up to fight Lennox Lewis in his prime.
And yep.
So now you got a situation. We're not even talking about Mike Tyson. We're talking about Lennox Lewis in his prime. So now you got to, because let me tell you something. Mike Tyson, Roy Jones is taller than Mike Tyson. People don't know that. So now you got a situation where, and granted, that height may be exaggerated, 6'5" to Roy Jones 5'11", 6 foot. But the problem is when Roy Jones moved up, they had to put quarters in his pocket to make him naturally bigger than what he was. Remember that?
Yep.
So anyway, long story short, man, the second travesty is what Roberto talked about. So that was the first travesty that, basically these guys not wanting to fight Spence. And this is why we got the Mikey. But the second travesty, which was even more disturbing, is, and Roberto said this before the fight, and he said it after the fight. There's a piece of Mikey that's been left in that ring on Saturday night.
Yep, that's what I want to get to.
And I'll let Roberto get into that after I finish telling you my synopsis on the fight. But those are the two travesties. So it wasn't like it was surprising to anybody that Mikey got thoroughly dominated, because that's what should happen when a good big man fights a good little man. The good big man should win. If a good little man fights an okay big man, I'm hoping that the good little man wins. Now, he dared to be great. He lost it. Listen, third travesty is that although there's a piece of Mikey in that ring, Mikey still comes out the winner. Errol actually comes out respected, but the pundits are like, listen, you're supposed to do that. Like, this guy's smaller than you. Like, if you can't find anybody to fight, you need to move up. So this is what we're kind of faced with right now. That he's not going to move up. He's going to continue to be avoided by the top players, and he's just going to find people. The only person that really wants to fight him, that's interested in fight him, was Mikey and Crawford. They're the only two. You can look at Pacquiao's body language. He's like, oh, okay.
Oh yeah.
You look at Porter. Porter's like WWF. He's like,
shout out to the outfit.
Yeah, and the third thing is, you got a situation. Yeah, that outfit was ridiculous. And the third, him. Listen, we just said it. I'm convinced that Tim Bradley and Sean Porter are the same person.
Doppelganger.
They doppelgangers. Thank you. They wear the same ties. They wear their clothes the same way. Like they fight the same way. They use their head. They both love football. Like they're built the same. Anyway, I digress. But the other thing is that so you know Thurman, Danny doesn't want to fight him. Porter basically looks like he's like making posts about these guys being friends. And Thurman, and I'm saying this, Thurman.
Yeah, go ahead.
And Thurman probably got injured watching the fight. He probably hurt his elbow watching the fight on Saturday. So go ahead. So he just got thoroughly dominated. And to your point, he only won one round. That was the second round. Other than that, man, he didn't win a round. And he was apprehensive. Homeboy looked like every time he was throwing a punch, he was just like, you know what? I don't know what to do. He couldn't reset properly because he was getting countered. And it wasn't like Errol was doing anything different other than hitting him with like 3s and 4s and 5s. And then like instead of hitting him with 3, 4s and 5s to the face, he was hitting him with like 3, 4s and 5s to the body. I'm like, dang.
Yeah, man.
And to those people that said, somebody said to me, I think and it was a post that Tim Bradley wrote. He said, I don't even remember Mikey landing a punch. And I'm like, yo, he landed a couple punches. Let's keep it a bean. Like,
yeah.
You know, you go look at Errol eye. Like Errol got touched. Like Errol will tell you he don't move his head that much. But Errol just thoroughly dominated him, man, by just using what a big man should do against a little man. A jab, angles, making him reset, and getting into a situation where basically you know, he had to really try to figure out. And you know what? Train called it right. There was going to be an issue where Robert Garcia had to decide if he was going to be the brother or be the coach.
He said that early on, man.
Yep, and shout out to Train for saying that, man. So two things happened that you guys said. Number one, we all agreed that the fight was going to be a mismatch. But number two, you said about the pieces being left to Mikey. Number three, Train said that, you know, there was going to be a pivotal moment where he had to decide if he's going to be brother or coach. Now, again, I'm still disappointed, man. I'm still disappointed in how that fight happened. It should have never happened. It was good when you talk about the 87,000 or 47,000, but it was bad, man, because it's like, you know, what did we find out on Saturday that we didn't already know? That's why people fight. What did we find out Saturday that we already didn't know?
Yeah, I mean, I think I mean, credit to Fox, I guess, on their first review. I mean, I guess we'll see the numbers, but I mean, they did a good job of like promoting the fight in a manner that kind of made people lose sight of the fact this was a welterweight versus a lightweight. Granted, both very good fighters, but you know, you and I trained docs, all of us, man, we've been watching boxing for the better part of 30, 35 some odd years, man. I'm not giving our age away, but whatever. But we have seen time and time again what happens when smaller guys go up in weight against other good fighters. It tends to almost always, with the exception of very, very, very few instances, does it ever play out in the favor of the smaller guy, man. So that's why we're not surprised here. But again, to the point I want to make as it relates to Mikey, I feel, man, like, well, you know, again, people are giving more like a moral pat on the back to Mikey, and I'm glad Andre Ward mentioned this, man. They were interviewing him, you know, that this is kind of a moral victory for Mikey. He said, yo, there's no moral victories in boxing. Like, you got in there and took a beating, man. Like, that's not a victory, you know? And the thing is, while Mikey didn't get dropped, I think there was an instance where it looked like he was hurt and he was evading. But what people got to realize, man, is just because you don't get knocked down or knocked out, sometimes getting knocked out is better than not saying that that's, you know, good at all either, but if somebody that gets dropped or like let's say knocked out like in the second round or the third round, and you look at something like that, okay, and you look at what happened Saturday night, where Mikey took 12 rounds of thorough, hard-hitting welterweight, quasi-junior middleweight punches, and this wasn't just like here and there, here and there. Errol Spence threw what, over like 1,000 some odd punches, and landed what, 436? That I think 200 some odd were to the body. The thing with Mikey, I don't know. Me and Train were saying, when he had hit us earlier, I don't know how much of Mikey was left in that ring that night, man, because it's clear that he doesn't belong at welterweight. I think we've all established that, but I don't think at 135, I don't think he can make 135 anymore. I mean, to go up and then back down in weight is gonna. I don't think he's gonna be able to make it like that good. And then at 140, it's what's like a big fight at 140. So you start to think, man, like, was this Mikey's just taking the plunge? I mean, we didn't really. I mean, we're not gonna really talk about dude's pockets in here as far as like what the purses was and things of such. But was this a borderline cash out, at least in relation to it being a big fight? Because I just can't see him and Lomachenko fighting. You know, like I mean, Loma's talked about it, but how's Mikey gonna get? Is Mikey gonna make 135 good? You know, I don't know what Mikey's future looks like. I don't think he's gonna retire. I mean, that's crazy, but I don't know what kind of Mikey Garcia we're gonna have. I don't think he's gonna get in there with any punchers anytime soon. At least the first fight or two, but I don't know what 140 is looking like. It's starting to develop a bit. I just don't know if he's going to be involved there, being that most of those guys are, I think, tied to Bob. So I don't know, man. It kind of sounded like, I don't know if you got the hint that Mikey kind of sounded like he was taking a bit of a vacation after Saturday. And honestly, man, I would heavily advise that, man. He took a beating Saturday night, man.
Yeah, he took a beating, and you know what's crazy, because I like what you said. There is no moral victories, man. There's none, man. And it's just, I'm so frustrated at our welterweights, man, that, like, you know, when Cotto took the beating against Margarito, it was kind of different to me, and I'm going to tell you why. Like, Cotto was just on a collision course. He was just running through the division, and to be honest, before he got stopped by Margarito, he was actually winning the fight. Like, he was beating the bull crap out of Margarito. Let's keep it a bean. Mm-hmm. So, like, I felt bad for Cotto towards the end. I felt bad for Mikey after round 2. Like, I really did, man. It got to the point where it was just like, excuse me, where it was just like watching like a relative get beat up. And you're like, dang, man, like, what?
I mean, I legitimately, for me and my man, and shout out to my man Craig, who's, you know, he was watching the fight with me, man. Like, we were sitting there, and I think it was round 9 or 10. Like, I got up, man, and I said, "Yo, like, they need to stop this fight." And I was being very legitimate. And then that's when Mike went to the corner. He's like, "No, I'm good." You know, I mean, because those other 2 rounds, man, he took some hard punches, man. He took some very hard punches, and it's just.
Now, they did say, you know, some of those punches, I will say, looked like they were partially blocked.
They were, yeah, they were. But even the ones that, I mean, were clearly landing for the you know, good part of the night, man. I mean, those weren't punches he would feel even from, like, well, anybody he would have fought at welterweight or below. So, again, to the point of, let's say he goes up and fights, again, like, whether it's Andre Berto or I don't know, like Danny or something. Like, I would give him I would have given Mikey legitimate chances to beat those guys, because they're not as big or as big of punchers or as good of boxers as Spence is. So it's like he went, to your point originally, he went on that. Like, you remember, those ski slopes when they got the, and you go all the way up. He bypassed everybody, man, like everybody, and he went to the top of the mountain as it relates to the danger that any of the other guys he fought possessed. So that's what I'm saying. Like, none of us should be surprised here, man. For me, we like Mikey, man. Like, we all like Mikey, and truthfully, man, I would have much rather seen him and Lomachenko. And when I ask every single hardcore fan I've spoken to, I pose this question. I go, given the choice, what fight would you rather see? This, him and Spence or him and Loma? Everybody said Lomachenko, man. And then look, we could talk about the business and things as such, but even Robert, his trainer, was trying to push for the Lomachenko fight, man. Like, we can go back. There's videos of him talking about it, saying that he's spoken to Bob, that they want to do it. So, in hindsight, man, Mikey dared to be great. Now we don't know what Mikey we're going to get. As we're with the Lomachenko fight, even in a loss, man, I think we would have been treated to like one of the great fights in the last several years because of the skill factor that is way more evenly matched, man. And it's just unfortunate that's going to be a fight we'll very likely we'll never see.
Yeah, man.
It's just crazy, man. It's just.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I don't know what happened. I thought I had you on mute, but yeah, it's just at this point in time, man. There's a portion of All right. How hard is this going in a sentence? How hard is this Lomo fight going to be coming up? Because this is going to determine the part B portion of my question. How hard is this Lomo fight going to be?
Lomachenko's fighting right now?
Exactly.
He's fighting Anthony Corolla, but then after that, he's going to fight Richard Kami, who is a tall lightweight, can box.
Mm-hmm.
It could be a difficult fight for Lomachenko. It's. I mean, do you think Mikey can make 135 now?
That's what I was going to tell you. Like, I don't want to see Mikey down at that weight class because now you're talking about someone that's not only been battered, but now he's going to kind of lose that weight. Okay, not that he needs to be at 147. So essentially, you're telling him to go back down 2 weight classes.
Right.
And so now he's beaten. And now you're going to go down to 147? Like, I don't know. I mean, 135?
Yeah, man.
I'm trying to figure out where his true weight class would be. And to be honest, it might even just be, it might be 140.
I think it is 140. I really think it is. And it's because here, it's the funny part. Remember when Kell Brook went up to middleweight and fought Triple G, right? He weighed 159 for that fight. Next fight, goes back to 147. Granted, has actually a pretty good fight against Errol Spence, but ultimately, man, like those 2 fights cracked half of his career in half, man. And you think of Mikey, and look, I'm going to say this right now. I think Mikey going to fight Lomachenko now might be better served for Lomachenko, man, because Mikey's probably going to struggle to make weight, and we don't know what kind of Mikey we got, I'm just of the belief that fight never happens, man, and I think Mikey's going to somehow try to campaign at 140. I just don't know who's there. Proigas is with this dude, with Bob. Ramirez is, I think, with Bob. I don't know, man. I really don't know. You there, LD? Oh, my man Charles saying, what if the only reason Mikey stood up to the punishment is because of Victor Conte's help?
You know what's funny? It's funny. I don't know why this phone keeps going on mute now, but it's funny because, again, and that was a funny line, by the way. How much somebody said, what is it called again? Snack. What is it called?
Stack. Yo, you see them with Boo Boo, and they're like, this is Stack, and I like to.
Listen, it literally takes 2 minutes before I even watch a clip on YouTube now. It literally is an infomercial.
Yo, Yeah, and it's not even an ad; it's a part of the videos.
It's a part of it. But you know what's funny? That everybody was like, "How much does Snack help Mikey in that fight?" And then the next person said, um, "Mikey saw they said Mikey saw some of this fight. Yeah, they was like, yeah, he saw that check. That's the only thing he did see. He didn't see anything else but that check because there was nothing he saw with Errol Spence. But I'm gonna tell you, man, again, like there are no moral victories, man. Like you said it the best. There's no moral victories, man, and losing like that. And what's unfortunate is if you go back in time, there was a piece of Roy Jones that was left in that ring when he, and granted, people have their own theories, and I loved and adored Roy Jones, but there was a piece of Roy Jones left in that ring when he left from that John Ruiz fight.
Yep.
I'm telling you, there's something about moving up those weight classes and then moving back down.
His
You
leg,
just,
man. Yeah.
yeah, you just don't become the same person, man. I'm trying to figure out who did it and moved back down.
Henry Armstrong.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. And I know somebody's gonna say I know somebody's gonna say Floyd Mayweather, but let's keep it a bean.
Yeah.
The Floyd Mayweather for Canelo was definitely wasn't the Canelo we know today.
Right. And
So
we made that point too, right?
I mean he did beat him. Let me tell you something. If that same Floyd fought Canelo today, he would still beat Canelo. All right, like I'll be honest with you. If that same Floyd that showed up in that Canelo fight, because you remember that's pre-Pacquiao. If he fights Canelo today, he beats Canelo. But the point is that when you start, I don't know, man. It's just something about that weight loss, man. That drastic weight loss that takes a lot out of fighters. They become zombies, man. Like they just become zombies, man. So I'm interested to see what Mikey's going to become. But again, I blame that loss, ironically, on Thurman. I blame it on Porter, Danny Garcia, Hughes. I don't know if you want to consider Broner and Berto. Those guys are all trying to hang out with Spence because those are guys, man, that really should have been fighting him because they're relatively in his neighborhood.
Literally, and I've never seen him, and maybe you could remind me, man. I've never seen a time where it was so blatant that several fighters didn't want to step in the ring with that person. Because remember, at one point, Spence was like, "Oh, he needs a belt." All right, well, he got a belt. Oh, he needed to fight on pay-per-view. He fought on pay-per-view. He fought on pay-per-view before Keith Thurman. Who was, who was the flagship. But at this point, man, as it relates to Spence, look, this is what I think is gonna happen. I mean, for everybody, that saw Manny Pacquiao walk in the ring there. Shout out to Chuck D. Or shout out to Flavor Flav, who actually just turned 60 years old a few days ago, man. Don't believe the hype. That's not going to happen. I honestly think, man, I think the next fight is gonna be the Sean Porter fight, and I think it's because Sean Porter doesn't have any kind of wiggle room to say, "Hey, well, I'm gonna fight this guy or that guy." Like at this point, you're kind of being thrusted in there. I feel like Manny Pacquiao getting put in there was solely to just have Spence and Pacquiao's name kind of attached, even though they won't fight, if that makes any sense. It kind of helps Spence's brand in a way where it's like, oh, you're being affiliated with Pacquiao. Though I personally think Pacquiao's going to end up fighting Keith Thurman. Yeah, look, this is the thing, man. We've been talking about this for months already. There's only one fight we want to see, okay? We're not going to get it, at least yet, but I think it's the orders is likely going to be Sean Porter, Thurman, and then whatever happens with Terrence Crawford. But it's pretty clear now, though, that I think Spence has turned the leaf as it relates to the welterweight that is a priority under Premier Boxing Champions or Fox or what have you. So in a weird way now, man, he's kind of the controlling guy, you know, where Thurman was talking all this stuff as if like, you know, he had this clout, and now he's kind of like almost taking that Pacquiao payday, knowing you're inevitably going to have to you know what I'm saying? So that's kind of how I'm visioning it.
And it's funny because they're both trying to fight Manny Pacquiao. So it's like, I mean, it's so crazy, man. I never want to call another fighter afraid of another fighter because I don't. But I just, my brother and I I forget who it was. We were just talking, and I was like, man, Errol Spence just got injured watching that. When Errol Spence saw that 11th round, he automatically got injured. He was like, you know what? I'm injured. I mean, not Errol Spence. When Keith Thurman saw that 11th round, he got injured. He got injured watching that fight, you know, and it's a shame because, you know, he was probably like, crap, I got to deal with this. You know, he probably just retired. So now Porter's sitting there, and he's like, what the freak, man? Like, only person that really wants to fight him is Crawford. And to be honest, man, I'm telling you, man, I'm at the point, man, where like, I know Coach, you know, James is saying that he's going to compete and, you know, be at that weight class, campaign at that weight class. But he's at the point now, man, if he want quality fights, man, he might have to move up.
The thing is like Derek James was saying, man, like I think he's staying put at welterweight though, because that's just where the money's at. At 154, it's just there's nothing there for him that is gonna make for a fight that people are gonna like because we know what's gonna happen in the Sean Porter fight, but it's a unification fight. We know what's gonna happen in the Keith Thurman fight, but that's a unification fight. If you know, however that pans out with him and Manny, but it's just one of these deals. And it's funny, man. Andre Ward brought up a good point. They interviewed him when he was making mention about like you know, the moral victory or whatever that people were tagging to Mikey, but he made mention about, you know, look, man, there's the fight we want to see is Crawford and Spence, but he made the mention of Leonard and Hearns. You know, Leonard and Hearns, it didn't happen overnight. I mean, this was a year buildup, you know, but back then both parties were already talking, you know, listen, you know, we got like 1 or 2 fights and then we're going to fight, you know, let's try to do this. You do your thing on your end. We'll do on our end. And the idea was, you know, and he was saying, he's like, you know, that's really not happening here because you guys have your agenda here. Bob's whatever agenda he has for Bud. So to your point, man, like, I don't know when that fight ever happens. I think the timeline for Spence, and this is me, by the fall of 2020, man, I really, really think he's going to be eking out, like the fully eking out of welterweight, you know? And if they don't come together and at least figure out a timeline, like, you know, not to fight next, but like build the dialogue, that's going to be another Lomachenko Garcia situation that just gets wasted. And, you know, and you know, us as the fans, we're kind of left out like, well, there goes another one down the toilet.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, man. I just remember they said the reason why Michael Jackson and Prince never did a song was creative differences. And I'm telling you, it's probably going to be the same thing with a lot of these fighters and a lot of these big fights we want to see, man. And I'm telling you, man, it's just the more we wait, it's getting worse for Spence, and it's actually getting worse for Crawford. It's getting worse for Crawford because
it's getting worse for Crawford, I'd say, man. Because
it's getting worse.
The options, you know.
And it's getting worse for Spence, to be honest, because he's 29. He ain't, you know, he's going to be 30 soon.
That's true.
And at the end of the day, what's going to wind up happening to Errol Spence is he's going to be in a situation where he's going to gain weight. You know, it's inevitable. He's going to gain weight soon. That weight class is in the form. So I'm telling you, the time is not on either one of their sides, man. So we just gotta go and just see, man. Hopefully they make this fight soon, man. But I digress, man. I think we had a great weekend. I think that, you know, I just don't want to see no more fights like that. You know, I don't want to see any more fight nights like that. You know, no more imaginary fights. No more stuff where you take Manny Pacquiao and you fight him against Muhammad Ali. I don't want to see that crap no more. Like, just take fight night up, turn the fight night game off, and let's just have fights with people in the same division, two champions, and let's compete for the belt. No WBC diamond, like all that stuff. Like, let's not make it a fanfare situation. Let's make it a realistic situation, man. Because, like I said, it's not only hurting the fans, but it really hurts people like Mikey, man. Like, Mikey is not going to be the same fighter, man. And I really do like Mikey's fight game. He's not going to be the same fighter.
Yeah, that's the thing we got to find out, man. I mean, I'm on the tip, man, that he took a beating, man. I don't know. I don't know what his future is. I really don't know as it relates to what other big fight he can land in, because it wasn't. I mean, again, he fought a welterweight, but it was like it wasn't even close. You know what I'm saying? So it's like part of, even though he went up in weight, part of his mystique might have dipped. But again, we have to see how he looks. That's going to be the big question leading into his next fight. But I think that's about it, man. We don't have much going on. I mean, obviously, next month we got Danny and Granados. April's kind of. I mean, Lamont Peterson's fighting too, but everything's leading up to Canelo, Danny Jacobs. And look, for whatever it's worth, man, whatever we get after that's related to Triple G now being on the zone. We haven't even heard who he's fighting in June, but I think the plan, they want to run that back sooner than later. We'll see what happens, but I don't know, man. So far we're almost done with the first half of the year, and a lot of it's been comprised of the PBC cards that have been kind of up and down. But I think after Danny Jacobs or Canelo and Danny Jacobs, it's the fall. We're kind of like, we really don't know what's on the horizon. Could be a good or bad thing, but. We'll have to see, man. We'll be back. There's some fights this weekend, but not a lot going on. So, obviously stay tuned. But it's pretty much ROD. You want to wrap up with anything?
Nah, we good, man. It's just, hopefully, man, we can get in a situation, man, where we could just see bigger, better, or the same type of fights, man, with just, disrespect to Mikey, but like, where people ain't got to move up 4 different weight classes, 2 different weight classes to fight, this guy, man. Somebody needs to fight Errol Spence. That's the bottom line, Danny Porter. I'm not talking about Crawford at this point. Danny Porter, because those fights can happen. Ugis, he don't even calling out Errol Spence. One of those guys needs to fight Errol Spence and fight him soon.
Timer's saying, do you think it's a bad idea for Joshua to fight 3 weeks after Canelo as far as ticket sales and things as such? I don't know, because their fights are in 2 different places. Like, one's in Vegas, one's in New York. So I think they're really trying to attack the New York market. So I don't think that's really gonna be an issue. But yeah, that's pretty much it, man. We'll be back soon. Like, again, like there's fights coming up, but we're sporadic around here, but we're obviously hitting you off with the content. Appreciate all the follows on Facebook, man, and we're doing these shows as consistent as possible, so we appreciate all the feedback and the chats popping. Shout out to Timer TV, Charles 28. My man Juan that was on, my man Flo, what up? He was on earlier, man. So we're back, man. We're here, my man. Hold on, my man Eric as well. He's on the Facebook Kid Gloves 2112. So yeah, man, we're here, man. We're here. It's pretty much it. Follow us at GYGB Boxing on Instagram, Facebook.com/GYG Boxing, and we'll be back, man. So let us know in the comments, man, what you thought of the fight. What should both guys do? We all, we all know who we want to see Spence fight, but that ain't gonna be happening anytime soon. So till next time, I am out of here. Our Diggity Coltrane. Peace.